Hey, sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Bucky's Sports Show. I'm Bucky. I'm here this evening with Jay, and we're going to talk a little baseball this evening. You had texted me the other night you wanted to go on a rant about Austin Riley, and I was to remind you. So let's hear that rant.
Well, it's not necessarily about Austin Riley. It's about something that comes up fairly often among people that really don't know the rule book for errors.
Okay.
I've been in the booth at Shack Mac for 20-something years, and there's a dumb play committed on the field. And some of the people in the booth want to rule an error. Well, the play we're talking about 2 nights ago, Austin Riley hits a long fly ball to left center field. The left fielder actually calls for it, and then the center fielder comes over, and technically, by unwritten rules, the center fielder is supposed to take charge.
Okay.
Well, nobody calls for it after that, and it falls between them. Austin Riley winds up at second base, and it's ruled in the book as a double. Well,
right.
Most people that see that, well, that should be an error. Well, should be and would be as 2 different subjects. Yeah, it probably should be an error, but according to MLB rules, unless there's an actual play made on it or somebody touches it, it's not an error.
Right.
And so I printed off, but people will argue about that, So I print off the actual rule. It says, in MLB, a fielding error occurs when a fielder makes a play that an average fielder would have made, resulting in the batter reaching base or a runner advancing, or the chance to put out a batter is lost. Essentially, it's a defensive misplay that assists the offensive team. But if you go down here farther, it gives examples of what an error is and what not an error is. And it says, a player failing to make a play on a ball due to poor positioning or effort is not an error.
Right.
Now, it's my understanding from listening to general managers and other analysts on the radio and on TV that for years, MLB has tried to institute what they call a team error, which would be, this is the perfect example, because even if you were a scorekeeper and you wanted to issue an error on that play, who are you going to give it to? Neither player touched the ball. But it's not fair to the pitcher, because that's going to go on his stats as a double. It's going to hurt his whip. If it scores, it's going to hurt his ERA. It's not fair to him. So MLB said, well, let's institute what we call a team error. That way it wouldn't count against the pitcher. But for some reason, according to what Steve Phillips and other guys have said on MLB Network, the Players Union doesn't want to do that. Now, I would love to interview somebody in the Players Union and say, what reasoning would you have against that? Is it because there's more hitters than pitchers?
There's more
hitters. And it helps the hitters out more than it hurts the pitchers.
Yes.
So that's the only thing I can think of.
Yep.
But that burns me for the pitcher's sake and for the general public who thinks, well, if it's stupid, it's got to be an error. No, it's not an error. So... yeah, but that's just something I wanted to throw out there because most people don't understand it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's all I have to say about that, unless you want to go to my other one I want to talk about.
Yeah, I think I have it pulled up here for me to watch.
Okay, all right.
Were the bases loaded?
No.
I don't have it pulled up.
No, okay. I think it's either 10th or 11th inning. The game wound up going like 13.
Okay.
Between the Pirates and the Cardinals yesterday. Here's the situation. 2 outs, Cardinals at bat. It's at Pittsburgh. Runner at second. Cardinal batter, I don't even know who the Cardinal batter was. It's immaterial at this point. Hits a moonshot straight up. Basically what we like to refer to as a silo shot, okay? The catcher goes out. It's in front of home plate. Catcher goes out, first baseman comes in. Catcher and first baseman collide to the extent that both of them go down. Okay. Both of them are actually lying in the base path in front of home plate on the third baseline. So, being 2 outs, the runner from second's running. Okay. He comes around third, comes into home. You have two Pittsburgh players laying in the base path. He has to dodge around them to get to home. And in the process, Brian Hayes, Pittsburgh's third baseman, reaches over. He comes in, he grabs the ball, and as the Cardinal runner is dodging around the guys laying on the ground, he tags him out, inning over. The thing that's amazing about this is...
Yeah, I'm watching this now.
Okay. The thing that's amazing about this is there was no appeal made by the Cardinals. Now, looked up the obstruction rule, okay? Obstruction occurs when a fielder impedes a runner's progress while not in possession of the ball or in the act of fielding it. If a play is being made on the obstructed runner, the runner is awarded at least one base beyond the last legally touched base. If no play is being made, the play continues and the umpire will then nullify the act of obstruction. But here's the thing, okay? Those two guys laying in the base path were not making a play on the ball.
Right.
They're laying on the ground, obstructing the baseline, obstructing the runner. The ball's 5 feet away from them.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that the umpires definitely would have ruled that obstruction and the run would have scored. But Steve Phillips this morning, his question was, why would you not appeal that? And here's my controversial rant. I got an answer for it.
I think I know where this is going.
Because the manager of the Cardinals, Ollie Marmol, is an idiot. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
He should have at least appealed it. If they say no, it's no.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yeah.
But according to the rules, that's obstruction.
Right.
And that run should have scored. It was extra innings. It was 0-0 at the time, and that would have been the first run of the game.
Here's my question. You have two
Catcher and a first baseman.
Catcher, first baseman, laying in third base line.
Yeah.
The runner is I'm not going to say halfway, because it's probably more like a third of the way.
Uh-huh. He's coming down the third base.
From home plate going to third, he's a third of the way up the baseline. He has to stop. Like the fielders colliding make him stop. Why does he go on the inside of them on the base field
instead of the outside?
To make the tag harder?
That's a good question.
I think the Cardinals made two blunders there. The base runner should have went the opposite side and made Brian Hayes not just have to do this, but dive across the plate to tag him.
That's a good observation.
And number two, Marmol should have appealed the play.
Yeah, that's a mental error on the runner's part. Well, he's a rookie. Yeah. I think he was a rookie.
Okay, that's fair.
But how many times do you see that?
You may go 100 years before you see it again.
Right, but that should have been appealed, and in my opinion, it should have been obstruction, because those guys at that time were not making a play on the ball, and he obstructed his pathway to the whole plate. Run should have counted. I'm not going to say they would have won, but that would have put them up 1-0 in like the 11th inning or whatever it was. It ended up going 13, and the Pirates won 2-1. So, but Ollie, you missed it, buddy.
Yeah, that's a fascinating play. And if anyone wants to watch that, SI.com has that. I Googled.
It's also on MLB.com under the game summary.
I Googled Pirates Cardinals play.
Yeah.
So that will.
It's on every site I saw. It's a very popular video.
But the Sports Illustrated has it linked from someone's Twitter page to where you can see it without ads and all that. If you want to watch it. If I can figure out how to get it into the episode, I will. With copyright issues and all that fun stuff, I don't know if I want to fight that battle this evening.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not definitely saying what the ruling would have been, but at least the appeal should have been made.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can you not at least appeal it?
Right.
And that's what the guys, that's what Steve Phillips said this morning. How can you not at least appeal that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so week 2. I kind of think teams kind of started to fall in kind of more where we thought they might be, with the exception of 2.
Yeah. Okay, I know one of them you're going to say.
The Los Angeles Angels is sitting atop the AL West. I have 7-3. Did they win yesterday?
They got beat yesterday, but they won this afternoon.
Okay, so they're sitting at 8-4.
8-4.
So they would still be atop, and I don't know what Texas did. And then the Braves. Sitting at the bottom of the East at 2-9, I believe, after last night's loss. Ron Washington, he's a difference maker. He went out to the Angels, and he took his beliefs and all of his doings that he did, the infield work and all that stuff with him, and that team's sitting at 8-4.
I agree with you on that.
He leaves Atlanta, and they're sitting 2-9.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I think also just the fact that Trout is healthy and in the lineup and rubbing elbows with all these young guys. I think the combination of those two things is working wonders for him now. As they say, it's early. So we'll see.
It's early. Don't get me wrong, it's early.
I'm as dumbfounded as you are about the Braves. I mean, we were kind of worried about their pitching. And their pitching's not really been...
Their offense is non-existent.
They're not scored any runs. I mean, they look like Seattle, God bless them.
I don't know. I watched them against the Marlins over the weekend. They put up 10 runs Friday night. Then the next day, they don't score a run.
And the Marlins got like 8. Yeah.
It's like...
And there's another team. They're playing a lot better than what they
Yeah. But, sorry, we got some weather around us, so our phones may be going off during this thing.
But, the Marlins are playing better. The only team that is definitely playing exactly like we would have thought, which after the first 3 games we were kind of wondering about that, but the White Sox are back to their old self.
Yeah.
They win 2 out of 3. Well, they win the first 2 against the Twins. They haven't won since.
Well, and Colorado doesn't disappoint either.
No. And boy, did they get shelled the other night.
But the Dodgers
lose 2 out of 3 to Washington, but they're still the only one of 2 teams that's won 10 games.
Are they up there? So I got 9-4 on my thing. So are they tied with San Diego?
Yeah, in the win column, they're tied.
Okay, so San Diego's still up.
I think so.
I should probably I got a computer here in front of me. You'd think I'd be smart enough to go to a website that's got the standings on it.
San Diego's half a game up because of the loss.
But people don't understand how hard I work to get these standings on a Google Doc where I could just scroll through the entire episode as I wanted to discuss.
Well, and we talked about when we were doing the previews, we talked about prospects, and I highly touted 2 prospects to watch. Christian Campbell, the prospect for the Red Sox, who is no longer a prospect, but was so essential in them wanting to move Devers to DH to make room for him at second. Well, he's batting .326, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and an OPS of .981. And he's also played some outfield. I mean, he's the real deal. And then the other one I was talking about, the one bright spot for the Rays maybe to watch, Jose Caballero. Now, he's only batting .250, plays third base and outfield, mostly third base. His average is only .250, but he's got a home run, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and his OPS is .950. So he's also doing really well. Kind of a shout out to my adopted team, the Seattle Mariners. They took 2 out of 3 from the Astros the last 3 days. All close games. But the game yesterday was really interesting. I just about gave up on it. They were down 5-0, and Rosarina hit a grand slam for 4 runs. And then J-Rod got a 2-run double, and it went to the bottom of the 9th. And bases loaded, and Rosarita got a walk-off walk. They won 7-6.
All that for a walk.
Yeah, all that for a walk. But I mean, they beat the Astros 2 out of 3, and the Astros are really struggling, which is great.
Yeah, it's
maybe they'll cheat their way out of it. But
well, they'll do what they can. Especially watch that little feller's name.
Altuve?
Yeah, Jose Altuve.
They're switching him back and forth still from left to second, so
I would think that would be difficult. Just
Yeah,
put him at one or the other. And
I don't understand when you got a definite Hall of Fame second baseman. Why would you mess with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot of mind-boggling things. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got his new contract, he said, and now we sat here, we talked about this in our previews, that the Yankees didn't sign any big-name free agents, and even though Guerrero said that he never wanted to be a Yankee, we thought that the signing of Goldschmidt to kind of like maybe fill in for 1 year until Guerrero got to be free agent next year, we figured he'd be a Yankee. Well, $500 million. But here's the really interesting thing about that contract. He lives in Florida, which, as you know, has no income tax. Actually, his salary is only going to be $12.5 million a year for 14 years.
yeah.
Because he got a $325 million signing bonus to avoid taxes. That's pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I don't know where these contracts are going to stop.
Here's my thing with these contracts. Because I was looking, because we discussed that we wanted to talk about stadiums we've been to and some of that this evening. So when I got my list done and I had them all arranged and ordered how I thought I wanted them, I started looking at the ones I don't have. And Philadelphia's on that list.
That you haven't been to or you don't like?
That I haven't been to.
Okay, I've not been there either.
So I thought, maybe I'll take a vacation there this summer because I'm also a history buff. Like, I love U.S. history.
Oh, it's great. I've been there for the Independence Hall stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to see that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then take in a game that night, make my way up maybe through Cleveland, Detroit, hit 2 other ballparks. And I like to set bottom row, the first level, top row right there.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can just take a step down and get in and out easy if I need to, want to, whatever. You know what that costs at Philadelphia?
I would guess, based on what the Cardinals charge for seats like that, I would guess at least $125, $150.
Yeah. Now, I looked at the same spot at Cardinals games where I was looking. Cardinals games down the line are about $60
Yeah.
in the same spot.
Depending on who they're playing.
Sure. So then I got interested in, okay, what is the top row price of this stadium?
Top row of the upper deck?
Top row.
The
very top row
All
that
right.
you can get.
All right. At Philly?
At Philly.
45.
Higher.
60.
65. And that's not paying the processing fees, the taxes,
Which is
and
another
everything
15,
else
15, 20 bucks.
you've got to pay. So you're looking minimum $80 a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum for Philadelphia.
Yeah, now that's higher than Cardinals, yeah.
And let's say you're an average family of 4.
No way. Yeah.
How can you afford to go to MLB baseball game?
You can't. Because then you got to park. You got to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's
And I'm looking at this, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I haven't been to 8 stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen 7 teams. Well, I haven't actually been to 9 stadiums. I haven't seen 7 teams play at home, but we'll get into some of that here in a little bit. I'm so close to have visited everywhere. I don't want to give this up. I'm 7 or 8 away.
But
can I afford it?
Yeah, I hear you. That's why I go to a lot of Indians games.
I mean,
you can't pay more than $20 at an Indians game for the best seat in the house.
Probably when I get this accomplished, I don't know if I'll ever attend another Major League Baseball game.
No.
Because ticket prices are so ridiculous. And if I do, it'll be in Atlanta. Because for, every dollar I spend, I get like 1/10 of a penny or something.
Okay.
Being a stockholder of one share.
The other thing that ticks me off is, as I told you in a previous episode, my daughter Emily got me a $100 gift certificate for St. Louis. So I go on there, and the first team I thought about wanting to go see was Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, okay, I know that they're going to charged a little bit more for the Dodgers. Okay. I immediately gave up on that because it was at least $150 for the seat I was looking at. So I went in, I priced the same ticket, same location, same seat for the Tigers and the Dodgers. The Dodgers was over $150, the Tigers was $65. It's ridiculous. Of course, they do the same thing being the rivalry that they are with the Cubs. They jack those prices up too. That's not right. But here's all of sports. And MLB game is still the best bargain because, my God, what people... I'm not a big football fan anyway, but why you would pay what these people pay to go watch the Colts play blows my mind.
I haven't been to a Colts game in a long, long time.
The only way I'm going is if the ticket is free. And that just goes to prove me if you're going to pay that much, it's like, I don't know, $75 for as high as you can get. That just proves to me, knowing what kind of team the Colts keep putting on the field, P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute, and then we won't even start to talk about Pacers.
In all actuality, in football, I actually enjoy setting up higher.
Well, yeah.
Because you can see the holes open up and all that.
Yeah, but those are the cheapest seats though. But still,
they are.
Yeah. My God, I just don't get it. But I agree with you on the MLB prices being way too much, but they're still the cheapest of the three major sports.
Well, but the problem is with football, let's just take the NFL, because neither one of us give a damn about the NBA. Football, they've got the same salary as what baseball players do.
Uh-huh.
But they're only playing 16, 17 games.
That's true. Yeah, 1 week. Yep.
So, they
got to charge more.
They have to.
Yeah.
And then they rip you off with their $20 beers and their $8, $9, $10 bottles of water. And
I haven't bought a beer at a major league game, and I'm not going to pay the same price for a 12 or a 6-pack that I have for one.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous. Go to the Indians game, people. I'm telling you.
Or we got listeners in Florida and Virginia. Where else?
Minor league's a bargain.
Wherever you are, just go to those minor league stadiums.
Now there are what you got to watch is there are some real good bargains out there if you know where to look. It's like the Reds have what they call family-friendly days, and a ticket in the outfield that would normally cost you $45-$50. Okay, but you got to look real close because at the bottom you can click on the family-friendly discount, and you can get them for like $25. Okay. Here's another way to do it. Try Step Up. And I could not believe it when Taylor told me this.
Not a sponsor, but willing to take you as one.
Yeah. I could not believe when Taylor told me this. She went to the Mariners game Monday night. It was Cal Raleigh bobblehead night. She got tickets 30 rows behind third base in the bottom section. You know how much she paid? Fees included? $15 for two. For two.
So $30.
The face value was $3 a piece for the tickets. You can find them. You got to really look, but you can find them.
You do.
But it's either that or eat them.
Yeah.
You got to see the tickets and you can't go. So yeah. But I've never heard of one that low. For $3 a piece.
Yeah, I had maybe Travis Turpin. We got tickets really cheap to Cardinals-Reds game a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. And about the time we sat down, King Griffey Jr. jacked one out of the stadium.
There you go. You got to see Griffey hit a home run.
Yeah.
Which at Cincinnati was unusual.
Do what?
Which at Cincinnati was unusual because he really had some rough years, though.
Well, that was, the game was at St. Louis, though, so...
No, but I mean...
A day game in St. Louis, the ball was really flying out.
But I mean, when he was a Red, he really...
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
All right, want to talk about some stadiums we've been to?
Sure.
Okay. Want to start at the bottom, work our way up? I have a feeling our bottom's going to be close to...
I guarantee
the same.
I guarantee the worst one's going to be the same. And thank God they're not playing there anymore.
Yeah, so I got the California A's.
Well, yeah, at that time they were at the Oakland.
At the time, the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a dump!
It was awful.
What a dump!
Absolutely awful.
Oh my! I mean, none other has even come close.
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and state this now for those of you watching and thinking, what an idiot. Some of these I've been to as the opposing team fan.
Of course.
Like, as many as I can get to watching the Braves play, that's what I try to accomplish.
That's what happened when me and you were there.
So there is probably one that might be able to be ranked a little higher that the experience was not good. Now, with that being said, I think there are more Braves fans in Oakland than what there were A's fans that day.
I think that's probably right.
I think a bunch of them were sitting behind us that day.
Yeah. But there were several diehard A's fans beside us, too.
There were.
Those old guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's terrible. Terrible place.
A concession. Wasn't there a deal with the concessions? Like, didn't you try to go buy some lunch or something? And
yeah, they were out of a bunch of
stuff. Yeah.
It was just awful.
It's just a nightmare.
Awful. Dingy, dirty.
Other than the Braves winning, it's just a miserable day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
All right, that was number 22 on my list.
Well, see, I've not been. Well, see, I say I've not been to that many. I'd have to sit down and count, but a lot of the stadiums that I've been to at my age are no longer there.
Yeah.
I was in Tiger Stadium the last year. It was before it was torn down.
Well, I've not been to Detroit at all, so you'd think 6 hours away I'd have been by now.
Detroit's a really nice facility.
Tampa Bay. I got that as my next worst.
Not been there.
There's nothing around it.
No, I knew that.
Once you're in it, you can't even walk the entire stadium on the inside of the con. Yeah. You got to go out and around, and it's
almost like IU basketball.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Not quite as bad, but
I've always said whoever designed Assembly Hall or whatever they call it now is probably a Purdue grad.
All right, I'm going to keep my mouth quiet because probably half my listeners are Purdue fans with my family. So.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Purdue, but Purdue hates IU, so they designed a really bad idea for a stadium.
All right, number 20, I've got Miami.
Not been there.
Okay, so again, it's built in a neighborhood in Little Havana, and when you try to go into the stadium, it's it's on a 4-lane road, and they tuck the parking garages into the stadium.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to find said parking garages, and I see it at the last second, can't get over. So I have to go around the block. Going around the block, do you know how many damn chickens I almost ran over?
He told me.
It just seemed like every house had a chicken. I've never seen so many chickens in the downtown area before.
That's good Cuban food, man.
And then when you get in there, they have a section just for dogs. So the entire barking with the echoing and then the vuvuzela, the band, and bands don't belong at baseball games. Like, that's just, I had the biggest headache when I left that game. And they were playing the Cubs. The Cubs fans are just annoying. And
amen to that.
Sorry, Cubs fans, but it's true. Most of you are very annoying.
It's a race between them and the Philadelphia fans are who the worst. I think Philadelphia's just a tad worse. But
yeah. All right, but barely beating them out at number 19, I got the Los Angeles Angels.
I agree. I don't know where I'd rank them, but I was really disappointed when you and I went. Most people don't realize it's the fourth oldest stadium there. Only ones older than that are Fenway, Wrigley, and Dodger Stadium.
And again, it's another stadium you can't walk all the way around.
No.
And you can't even walk out and come back and around.
No.
You got it. It's a horseshoe type of.
Right.
I mean, they got some cool features there. You know, their water feature out in the outfield. Some of their outside stuff was cool.
The helmet, the big A.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
what else did they What else was there?
No, I was very just. One of the good things about this, there's plenty of parking.
A lot of parking.
It sets out in the middle of a huge parking lot, and everybody just comes into that parking lot and parks right there.
Yeah.
No parking garages, no parking in yards. So that was good. We didn't have to worry about that because we could walk from the hotel. But that's one of the good things about it.
Okay, my next one is the Chicago White Sox, number 18 for me.
Terrible.
The stadium's awful.
I actually liked Old Comiskey Park better than I do the new one.
Okay, I never had the pleasure of Old Comiskey Park.
Aside from being stuck behind a girder and having to lean one way or the other to watch the game, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the area is not good. I would never go to a night game at that stadium. If I ever go back, it'll be for a day game, and I don't ever anticipate going back. Okay, number 17. This is where someone may start to differ with me. I got the New York Mets.
Not been there.
Again, when you start looking at the neighborhood around, it's really shady. Now, I took the train.
Yeah.
And I went for a Braves game.
Yeah.
And I took the train. Is anyone seeing the problem with this?
Were you dumb enough to wear Braves gear on the train with all those Mets fans?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I said as close as I could to other Braves fans. But the train wasn't the problem. It was the drunk idiot in the crowd that was 3 rows in front of me that when the Braves had a huge lead, I didn't say. And then when the Mets came back, he's pointing at me and telling me all about it. I informed him he's the reason why people hate Mets fans.
Mm-hmm. New York fans in general.
Yeah, but with all that experience and everything, again, it's just a parking lot around it. The entry's kind of cool with their escalators going up and all that.
Got a little tribute to Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
Not been there, but I've seen it on TV.
But there's, outside of the big apple that comes up when they hit home runs, there's nothing there.
Okay.
It's just blah.
Okay.
Now, would I go back? Maybe. But I'd wear Indiana State because the only way I go back is if the Braves were there, and I won't make the same mistake again.
Yeah, do not wear Braves gear or Philly gear in the Mets Stadium. Yeah. That's not something you want to do.
All right, number 16, I've got Milwaukee.
Well, here again, I'm showing my age because I've been to both of them.
I have too. I've actually been to both too.
Milwaukee County Stadium. Okay, all right. I have been to both of those, and I actually was at the old stadium when Ricky Henderson broke the season record for stolen bases. I don't know of a lot of bad things I want to say about Milwaukee. The one great thing is they have a retractable dome, so you don't have to worry about getting rain. So that's fantastic. And
that's why it beat the Mets.
And it's cold up there, so that's the twofold great thing about it. I like the area around it. It's in a nice neighborhood. It's right off the interstate. Sits in the parking lot again. A lot of nice statues around. The outside of the park is really nice. The inside is just average. It is. It's just average. There's nothing bad about it. It's just average.
They just had Bernie coming down off a slide when they everything else is just...
There's nothing outstanding about it. Well, you say you've not been to Detroit. The neighborhood around Detroit has vastly improved from the first time I went there. And I was at Old Tiger Stadium, and that was fantastic. But it was a typical old stadium, and it was time for it to go. But... one of the really neat things about Comerica is they have little museum kiosks about every 50 or 100 feet, and you can walk complete a circle around it. And every display area, probably about like the size of this table, is dedicated to a different decade of Tigers baseball. Like you go to one that's got Ty Cobb's uniform, his bat and his ball and his glove, and you go to another one that's got Hank Greenberg stuff and Al Kaline stuff, and it's just like every one is a different decade. And they got the great statues in left field. They got a wonderful scoreboard. The stadium itself is fantastic. It's a little hard. It's not that hard to get to, but they vastly improved the neighborhood around. So it ranks up in my top 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like it. But
Yeah.
Milwaukee's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just okay.
And speaking of top 15, I got Arizona. That's my next one.
Not been there.
I'm starting to hear some thunder outside.
Yeah. Taylor went there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's still called Chase.
I think so, but I'm not positive.
She really liked it. I've not been there.
So, the stadium itself, it's better than Milwaukee because it's got the pool.
Okay.
So, it's got like that neat feature that, are they going to get a home run ball in the pool? Are they not? Like, there's some added intrigue. It's air conditioned.
Well, thank God.
Which, again, I went 4th of July. Guess what? It's hot.
Oh, my. July and August in Arizona? No way.
Baseball in Phoenix, Arizona, in July and August, it is hot. And I may have played a round of golf before going to said baseball game.
You're a sucker.
So, by the time we got home, I was tired. But, again, around the parking lot, there's not a whole lot. Now, I will say they got the guys on the bikes, bike you and the thing behind, I can't think.
Well, there can't be many neat statues because they just don't have a team history.
Right.
So.
Right. Other than beating the Yankees in the World Series.
That was wonderful, but go ahead.
But, so, there are neat aspects to it.
Okay.
But I went July 4th. Yeah. It was hot.
Yeah, I'll never go back to Arizona. No way.
Okay, and then one team that I've been to that I would put this park in this area is the ballpark in Arden that the Rangers used to play.
Yeah, okay. No, I've not been to any of Texas.
That was Texas that I've been to. It's not there. We're not going to waste time on that. But I have seen the Rangers in person.
Okay.
Boston, 14.
Not been there.
Want
to go? I'll probably be going there in the next year or two.
Okay. They have the Green Monster.
Mm-hmm. I want to go just to see Ted's statue.
That's what they have. They have the Green Monster.
And Ted's statue.
Yeah, but they have the Green Monster.
I'm a big Ted Williams fan, so.
Okay.
Love the statues. Love to have them.
Here's the thing. I never saw a statue when I was there.
Oh,
because the street is so narrow.
Right. Oh,
and there's so many people.
Right.
You can't walk.
Right.
So if you want to see Ted Williams' statue, you know what you have to do?
It's like a salmon.
You have to leave in the 5th inning.
Okay.
Because Boston people start leaving in the 6th inning.
Okay. Do they get there real early?
No, they get there in the 3rd.
Okay. Well,
and then they get drunk, and then they start getting kicked out in the 6th inning.
Okay. All right. Well, go early then. Okay.
So you're either going to have to go early and walk it, or you're going to have to leave the game early and walk around.
You know me, I always like to get there early.
Yeah. But, those streets are so narrow, and there's like 2 gates you can go in. Yeah. It is just, it was a nightmare.
Well, they're restricted to the geography of the area.
And, my dad was in a Yankees hat, and my brother's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Geez, Dad, you wore your Yankee hat here? What were you thinking?"
No kidding. I agree with your brother.
Next on my list is Kansas City.
I like Kansas City. Now, have you been there since they redid it?
I was there 2 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, probably.
The issue I had with Kansas City was there is just nothing around it.
That's true.
It is just a massive parking lot.
Well, they wanted to move it into town, and the tax referendum didn't pass.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Arrowhead is...
Parking's easy.
Parking was extremely easy.
Parking's great.
But there again, on the night I was there was a huge rain delay. There were tornadoes in the area.
If I remember right.
Game time temp was 34 degrees. I did not make the entire game, but I did see some baseball in the stadium before I left, so I'm counting it. This may be one I return to if I'm passing through and they have a game going on.
I'd like to go to Kansas City again. And if you go to Kansas City, go to the Negro League Museum.
Yeah.
Fantastic place to go.
Okay, so here's where things will probably run off the rails. Because I got number 12 as St. Louis.
I got a little higher than that, but people would think because I'm a Cardinal fan that it's like in my top 5, and it's not.
And the problem is, when I was younger, I would go to any game anyone asked me to go to. Now I go to Braves games. Cardinal fans aren't always the nicest to visiting teams when you're there by yourself. Like, if I'm walking around and it's just me, they're not the nicest people.
I've always thought they were, but I'm not rooting for the opposing team. I can't.
Ballpark Village, okay, that's great. Like, that's why I actually have it at 12 is because, and not lower, is because Ballpark Village is packed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You can't eat in the restaurants unless you're there way early.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the restaurants where their bar area or whatever it is just packed with people, and you can barely move in there.
It may not be as packed now, but
it
used to be.
But there are people that go just to
party
place
and drink and they don't go to the game. Yeah.
11's Washington.
Not been there.
I actually have it ranked higher than St. Louis only because when I was there, my cousin Jenny Lynn's husband Ryan, he was walking me around and he was showing me all the architectural designs, him being an architect. That kind of made that a lot more interesting than what the stadium probably is.
Well, I know
to most people.
I've not been there.
And the Navy Stockyards is cool on the outside. I mean, it's a stadium a lot like St. Louis. Like, once you're in it, there's not a whole lot.
I know somebody would vehemently disagree with you because I've not been there. But my daughter Emily went to visit a friend in St. Louis, in Washington, and we went to the game together. And she didn't like it at all. She would rank St. Louis way higher than that. And one of the things that she didn't like is that the stonework, or whatever you want to call it, she said it looked like just like concrete block. She was not impressed with Washington at all. So, but I don't know. I'm not there.
Yeah. Well, would I go back? Sure. Am I dying to? No.
I think the best thing about St. Louis is the statue area.
Yes.
They've got that, and even have statues up there to Cool Papa Bell and George Sisler, who was with the St. Louis Browns, and then the Cool Papa was St. Louis Star, the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite area.
Well, and, when I was growing up and we'd be meeting cousins or whatever, we'll meet you stand the usual stand. Like, there was a meeting spot.
Still that way, yeah. That's famous for,
So, I don't hate it. I'm just saying, we're getting ready to get into some others here.
No,
I just like a little better.
It's not my top 5. So.
When I flipped the coin on St. Louis or Washington, it came up Washington.
All right.
Next is my top 10. I got Pittsburgh.
You got Pittsburgh?
I got Pittsburgh. I'm going to state this, though.
Okay.
My one time at that game was a July 4th game, and the Cubs were in town.
Oh, well. Sorry.
Now, with that being said, the walk to the park over Clemente Bridge, and I sit behind home plate to where you can see the cityscape and the bridge and all that, spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Spectacular. But, ballpark talking,
It's in my top 5.
I know.
And don't forget, if you go to Pittsburgh, you go to Pitt Campus and see the old Forest Field wall where Mazeroski hit his home run. The wall's still there.
Okay.
And inside the library, underneath about a half a foot of plexiglass, is the original Forest Field home plate.
Okay.
So you can see home plate and the wall on the pit campus.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you walk across the bridge, and there's Clemente, and you walk just a little farther, and there's Stargell, and you walk to the front of it, and there's Honus Wagner, and a new one. Probably wasn't there when you were there last, because the first time I was in Pittsburgh, it wasn't there. But Nazarowski, in right field, in doing his home run trot to win the World Series. So it's top 5 for me.
Yeah. All right. Number 9, I got Cincinnati.
I gotta hear this.
There is really nothing to it. There are some cool features when this gets hot, like the sprinklers and all that. But there's no one there.
Well, I misunderstood you. I'd have them lower.
As far as baseball experience goes, there's no one there.
No.
It's an empty stadium.
Cincinnati doesn't even draw fans when they're good. And John Montgomery, our buddy that's a Cincinnati fan, we've talked about that. I don't understand. They get the reputation of being great fans. They just don't.
No, there's no one there. And for me, who's not a fan of the local team, I'd rather drive the 3.5 hours to Cincinnati to watch the Braves than the 3 hours to watch the Braves in St. Louis.
Well, the best thing about Cincinnati is ticket and food prices.
Mm-hmm.
They are much more reasonably priced. Go when you think about St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati, Detroit. Cincinnati is definitely your best bargain to go.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, other than the mural where they have the original Cincinnati Red Stockings, the first professional team. Yeah, there's just
the riverboat things and the fire coming out of those. So that's
okay.
That's cool.
I think they could have done a lot more with it.
Yeah.
A lot more with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Next one's Minnesota, number 8.
Not been there. I'd love to go.
My only flaw with Minnesota, the main gate to get in is just one gate.
Okay.
The hotel I stayed at, you can take the entire skywalk or whatever they call that over to the stadium and down to the gate, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Other than sometimes you ran into a homeless person wanting to get into the hotel. But the stadium it reminded me a lot of Atlanta's. And I know when Atlanta was building their stadium, they toured a bunch of different stadiums to take aspects from different stadiums to add to theirs.
Okay.
And Minnesota was one that they liked a lot. So the fact that I like Atlanta's stadium probably leads me to I like Minnesota's. And while I was at Minnesota, ran into some fellow Sycamores. They too were wearing Sycamore stuff. It was the National Elks Association was having their national meeting there and had tickets that night. So, I got to set in the group with some Elks, and some of them are from Indiana and had some Sycamore stuff on.
Okay.
But it's a neat stadium. Okay. And all their statues are right there where you come down out of so you don't have to walk the entire stadium. Like Kirby Puckett he's right there.
Then they have a Carew.
Yes. And then, if you're into baseball history, you can go to the Mall of America. And the home plate's not there, but they do have etched out on the floor of the Mall of America where home plate was for their field when they first moved to Minnesota, which the name of it's escaping me.
I can't remember the name of the stadium.
Is it Municipal or
something? Municipal something. Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, I've got that number 8. I really enjoyed my experience there in Minnesota, and I wish I could remember Matt's. If you go to Matt's.
Yeah, we were going there. We got sidetracked.
You won't be disappointed. Yeah. Unfortunately, was that last year?
Last year we were going to go.
I had some health issues last summer, and we couldn't make that trip. We'll get there. Number 7, I got the Cubs. They've got the Ivy. There's history there, and the outside of it how they've entwined Wrigleyville to the Cubs. You got the bleachers on top of the apartment buildings, which shame on the Cubs ownership for taking some of that away, because that's what Wrigley was all about.
Yeah.
But the fire station with their fire hydrant and turn the water on and making that a water fountain. I don't know if they still do that with the COVID thing. But you know, that was cool. Will I go there again? Probably not. But it was a cool place to go.
I won't go there again just for one reason. It has nothing to do with my dislike for the Cubs. It's a great place to go to a game, but to me, the only way to get there is on a bus.
Well, you can take the train.
Well, I know you can.
Yeah.
But that would be a great place to go if it was like on the edge of town.
Yes.
I still like the neighborhood.
Right.
But it's got to be the most aggravating place. I mean, just driving and getting to anywhere in the city of Chicago is an absolute nightmare. I don't care if you go through Chicago at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're going to get stuck in something. It's just, it's a nightmare. Yeah. Other than that, I'm fine with it. But no, I'll never go again because of that. I wouldn't mind taking a bus. You know, Turner used to do bus tours.
Yeah, bus tour. Bus tour would be
I did
a great
that.
way
That
to
was
go.
great. They drop you right off at the gate and come back and pick you up. That's great. I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
That would be a great way to do that.
And you can drink as much as you want. Don't have to worry
you
about
have a
driving.
good point there.
Yeah.
All right, number 6. I know we're going to differ on this one. I got Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
I love the tour we did. I love the history of Dodger Stadium. But the outside of it, it's just a parking lot.
Well,
with the gas station.
Yeah.
And I mean, how far do we have to walk to catch a ride back to the hotel?
Yeah.
Thank goodness we didn't have to walk up the hill on our way there. Like, our tour was early enough that it was able to get us right where we needed to be. Walking down it wasn't so bad, but
I loved it. But then again, I'm more of a history buff than you are.
yes.
I just ate it up, and the view. I say the view from our seats because we never really got to our seats.
No, we were too high and it was too steep for some.
We're both scared of heights a little bit.
But shout out to the
usher
that got us a couple folding chairs.
God bless her. If I wish I'd have got her name. God bless her, because we could not make it down that steep a set of stairs, and she brought us 2 seats, and we sat there and enjoyed that view.
Yeah.
It's in my top 2 or 3. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it was nice. I got some others here that just rank above it.
I cannot say that
my 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 could have went any direction.
my top 5. It's hard for me to put them in certain order because they're so different. It's hard for me to compare Dodger Stadium with, say, Pittsburgh or San Diego because they're new.
The history's not there.
They're new.
Yeah.
Oh, and another one. And one that I'm going to talk about that you've not been to.
Okay.
But go ahead with your list and then we'll...
All right, number 5, I've got, this is going to be one, I don't know if I'll go to the one they built, their new one, because I don't see how new Yankee Stadium is any better than what old Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
Old Yankee Stadium was absolutely fantastic. The Monument Park, the nostalgia, the history of it.
Yeah.
Being there with my dad, who is a huge Yankee fan, he was, man, when was that? That's 2004.
Okay.
So that's been 21 years ago this summer. So he's sitting on 70 now, so he'd been 49, 50, somewhere in that area. I'm 44, 43, going to be 44 in June. His excitement of being at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have a feeling that's about what it was my first time to go to an Atlanta Braves game in Atlanta. there was just something special about that stadium. And they didn't have any, or nothing spectacular. You know, they had the Yankee Stadium facade, and it was the monuments. Outside of that, it was just a normal stadium.
Well, you talk about taking your dad there. That's something I experienced with my dad. My dad was so much of a Cardinal fan. And he actually got to go to 3 different Cardinal stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he and I were at the very first game ever played at the new stadium.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't a Cardinal game. They had a AA versus AAA exhibition game.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go to that. So he got to be in all 3 stadiums. But, you talk about memories. I went to opening day game with my dad, and whatever you think of the Cardinals, there is no opening day ceremony that can compare with opening day. It's not quite the same now because so many of those Hall of Famers have passed away. But my God, when you bring in Stan Musial and Bob Gibson and Red Shandy's and all these guys in these red convertibles, and then you follow them up with the Clydesdale team trotting around the edge of the field.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that. I went to my second opening day at St. Louis with Taylor, my oldest daughter. And it's just something about baseball that it's not like any other sport. To think back about being at opening day with my dad and now passing that on, I was in tears just thinking about that.
Yeah.
So I can understand your dad. That's really something.
My number 4, San Francisco. I like San Francisco. I know you weren't huge on San Francisco.
I would have San Francisco in my top 10.
But I loved it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just where we were sitting, the water view.
That's the only thing I like.
The lady giving me the hand warmers because I was freezing my rear end off.
Yeah. Well, that breeze started coming off that bay, and my God.
The people were wonderful there. I don't know, but I really enjoyed San Francisco.
I used to sit at home, watch games there, and see these people in the middle of July and August with their winter jackets on and could not understand why. Well, I know now.
Yeah.
But I to me, the only good thing about there are 2 good things about it. Well, the Willie Mays statue and the view of the bay. Other than that, the hallways to me were dark. Dingy may not be the right word, but they needed to be of different color. I know Cardinal color, giant colors include black, but the walls as you go in are black.
Yeah.
Make them orange.
Yeah.
Do something to brighten up the place.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Other than that, it was okay, but boy, I wouldn't put it up there. No, I wasn't that impressed.
Number 3. I got Baltimore.
That's one of my top 5 or 6.
I like Camden Yards, or I think it's that name still.
Yeah.
You got the building behind it. The seats, you're angled to see home plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't have to. You're not sitting there wrenching your neck trying to see the pit. You're angled to where you can see it.
Nice view downtown.
Yes, it's just, I don't know. It was, and then the game I was at. I don't know about the game you were at. Just the Navy people were all sitting together out in the outfield, and it was a really neat experience.
I was there in September, and I got to see him play 2 games against the Rays, and at that time the Rays and them were fighting it out for the division title. I loved Camden Yards. I loved Baltimore. It was almost as perfect a day as you can get. I walked down from my hotel. I walked down to the harbor, and I wish I could remember the name of the seafood place where I ate lunch. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Best seafood I've ever had in my life. And then walked over to the ballpark But the thing that really surprised me about Baltimore, Camden Yards, I had never run into as many nice people. I was looking for a table to sit down at, because if you go to Camden Yards, you're supposed to get Boot Pal barbecue. So I did. It was okay. But, and I was looking for a table to sit down at, and this older couple invited me to sit with them. We talked. They were super nice. And this older gentleman, as I was waiting in line to get in, that was Jones, Adam Jones T-shirt day, and it was a hell of a line. They were going to retire his number that night. Didn't think I was going to get a T-shirt. I went over to sit in the shade with this guy, and we started talking, and I asked him about the stadium. And he said, well, you just come in and go with me, and I'll show you around. The people were just absolutely outstanding. One of the things that I really liked, I don't know if they do this at other stadiums, I've never seen it, but this guy told me, he said, now make sure you go to one of the whatever color umbrella stands. They have information stands around the stadium, and said, you go to that umbrella and you tell them that this is your first game at Camden Yards, and they'll take care of you. I said, okay. Well, you go there and you get a postcard, and you get a packet of baseball cards, and you get a huge oil that says my first game at Camden Yards, and they write that day's date. I just think that's the coolest thing, so I've got that in my bookcase at home. I love Camden Yards. I thought it was great.
Most stadiums are doing something like that.
Yeah, good. They should.
It may not be that exact thing, but
that's really
they do
cool.
have something to connect. Number 2, I've got San Diego, Petco Park.
Loved it.
The Industrial Supply Building. I don't know if it's the supply. That might be a shout out to the people in Western Metals. Yeah. My bad. Industrial Supply is the wonderful company walking by on my way to Holman Center.
Yeah.
But they got a beach. They got the outfield area that's grass. I think they had a wiffle ball field for kids to play wiffle ball on. Whatever you want to do there, they basically had it.
Yeah. And the enthusiasm that the crowd has for that team, because that's the only professional team left there.
Yeah.
They love their Padres.
Yeah.
Absolutely love their Padres.
In all actuality, on our trip, we went to every California stadium. That was the hardest ticket.
Yeah.
It was the hardest ticket.
Well, they pack it every night. Yeah, I mean, they pack it every night. Yeah, and I love the downtown.
Yeah, they don't have anything around as far as like Padres go, but the downtown has so many restaurants right there around it. You have our hotel was what, a block away, 2 blocks away, something
you can
like
see
that.
inside the stadium from our room. Yeah,
it was
wonderful. Yeah, I would, if I had the money, I would retire to say, I love that air. I love the town. I love the people. The food was the selection of the food was fantastic. I loved it. Yeah. It's my 1, 2, or 3 one. I have a hard time placing it with but yeah.
All right, here's my number 1. You're going to take a shot at it.
I can't imagine.
It's Atlanta. Now let me preface this.
Okay.
The other 2 Atlanta stadiums that I went to would be nowhere near my top 10.
Okay, I've never been to either one of them, but go ahead.
So I want to get that out of the way first. Like, they wouldn't be there. What I like about this stadium, Truist Park or whatever the heck it's called.
That's what it's called.
The city that they built to go with it.
Yeah.
They literally have everything you want. You can rent a baseball glove. They've got an ice cream shop. You can get your hair cut. They got a movie theater. They got barbecue. They got a hamburger joint. They probably got Mexican. They got bars.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The hotel. They have literally got anything you possibly want to do right there. And then they got the nice amphitheater out there where they host concerts after games. It is a magnificent venue for baseball.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It would be
now
in my top 5.
Now, It does help that the Braves are my favorite team, that I do enjoy going there, because every time I go there, I'll be seeing my favorite team with all my fans, all my peeps. But I've never had a bad experience there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like it.
It is an exceptional place to watch a game. And what I really like most about it now, it's not in Atlanta. It's north. It's north of Marietta. It's out of that crime zone where their old parks were. It's easy to get in. It's easy to get out. There are even if you don't stay at the hotels that are right there by the stadium, the others are mile and a half walk.
Yep.
And it's safe to do that.
There's a nice bookstore.
Yeah. Del Murphy's restaurant's just right on the other side of the skywalk over the interstate. Just absolute. It's just.
I agree. It's a great place to go. Yeah, it's definitely my top 3 or 4. Yeah. Yeah.
It's. I don't know. Maybe it's also because all those places on the outside, I have stock in that too. Because I just come with it's just part of the package.
Well, it is definitely the best ballpark village. It's Bear Ballpark Village in St. Louis. One of the reasons is because they picked the site. They got a lot more room. You know, St. Louis is right downtown. Atlanta's got room to spread out. But yeah, I love it too.
And I think, I don't know for certain, but I think the Texas Rangers are working on doing something like like Atlanta's doing on the outside. So I do want to go back to Globe Life, which is why I didn't really count Ballpark in Arlington, because I think I'll like Globe Life better because of what they're going to be doing around on the outside of it. Now. And it's domed. So when I go in July or August, because I mean, let's face it, I work at a school. I can't go in April, May, or September.
Right. Yeah.
I got to go in June or July when it's hot out.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
well, I do not go to places like Atlanta and St. Louis if it's after, say, June 1st. I will not go. Too damn hot.
Yeah.
Even night games are hot. I don't care.
The weekend we went down to Atlanta, was that the last weekend of the season?
Yeah.
I think it was.
It was, yeah.
It was hot.
It was hot, yeah.
Now, when I made the return trip in October down there, that might be the other reason I like it, because it probably, in my ranking of greatest sports memories for me, in that stadium was probably number 2. When they won the Game 6 of the NLCS to go to the World Series, it's the only time in my life I didn't mind having beer all over me. People just celebrating, throwing their beers up in the air. Like, it was an absolute fiasco, but it was just a great time.
Well, I have one that you've not been to, and I did not have it. I wouldn't have known where to put it, of course, before I went there, but didn't get to go there until last summer. And I'm pretty confident that it might be in your top 5, but Seattle. I absolutely love Seattle. It's not domed, but the really interesting thing about the way Seattle does their roof is the roof is not attached to the stadium. The roof sets on giant pillars on a rail system that it just slides over the top of the whole stadium. Like an umbrella. So you got open air. It's still going to be the same temperature as it is outside. Everything's going to be the same, except it's going to keep the rain off of you. And it's in a great neighborhood. It's right across from the street from the Seahawks. There's bars right there across the street. They have big parties before the games. Got some good statues there. That's a big thing for me is statues, but I loved it there. People are extremely nice. The food selection is unbelievable. They do something out there that I'm still trying to get a handle on why they do it. Because, when you think of cream cheese, you think of Philadelphia. Cream cheese doesn't bring Seattle to mind, to me. And I didn't know quite what to think about this because Taylor had been to the game before me, and they served their hot dogs with cream cheese. And I thought, well, I don't know how I'm going to like this. But Taylor said, this is the way you do it. This is the Seattle dog. This is the way it is. So I had my cream cheese hot dog with my spicy brown mustard on it, and it was really good. But it is definitely in my top 5 now. But I would have such a hard time separating, say, the top 4. And in fairness to you, Atlanta is in my top 5. I would put Atlanta ahead of St. Louis. But I loved everything when we were there except the heat.
It's hot. Atlanta's hot.
Go in April or early May.
I can't.
But yeah, just too bad it's not. See, as a stockholder, you should have got on them and told them to build a dome on.
I don't. Every stadium needs a dome.
Yeah.
And air conditioning.
Yeah, that's right.
With inside the dome.
I agree.
I don't understand.
See what?
This thing, but even if they had something like Seattle where it rolled over the top, rain delays in this day and age are stupid. And there should never be a doubleheader ever again.
And then you got Minnesota and the thought of them hosting a playoff in October.
Well, we may not have to worry about that.
I don't know if the McCannons are listening, but
no, they're not.
Okay, the diehard McCannon boys.
Yeah, this will probably be the first episode they tune in. Yeah. So you've been to Colorado too, right?
Been to Colorado.
I've been looking at my list here. What do you think of Colorado?
Colorado was okay.
Just okay.
One of the things that took away from when I was in Colorado was it was a dreary, cloudy, damp evening. Because I've seen Colorado games on TV, and I want it to be that magnificent
orange, purple
Rocky
sky,
Mountain sunset
over
the mountains, and we couldn't even. It was so cloudy we couldn't even see the mountains.
That's awful.
And other than that, there's not much there. It is downtown, so you have a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You have bars and restaurants around it. There is no village there. It's just middle of the road, but it was nice. It's just nothing to really brag about. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go there again.
Yeah.
Unless you can guarantee I get the beautiful Rocky Mountain sunset.
Right.
I don't have to go to the stadium for that. But average.
Yeah.
It'd be middle of the road for me. No way it's in my top 10. And I don't think there's any other ones that I've been to that are still standing anyway. Like I said, it's been the old top. I'll tell you,
you talked about Detroit there a little bit. Have you been to Cleveland?
Cleveland, yeah. You've not been to Cleveland.
I'm not.
Cleveland's very nice. It would be in my top 10. It would not be in my top 5. Again, that's the opposite of what we were talking about. Go in July or August. Yeah. And still take a jacket. Because I'm telling you, I don't care what time of year it is.
Yeah.
If the wind starts coming off the lake, you're going to get cold.
Right.
And I remember at Old County Stadium in Milwaukee, Dad and I went there, and it was 90-something degrees during the day. And we went downtown and parks and stuff like that. And I wore a t-shirt and shorts to the game and did not take a jacket.
Yeah.
And the wind shifted. I mean, people looked at me like I was from Mars. And in fact, one of the ladies sitting around me says, "Never been to a game here before, have you?" And I said, "No, this is my first time." She said, "I kind of figured that the way you're dressed." That wind changed, and it went from 90-something degrees down to like 50 in like an hour. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but I liked it. I like the city of Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's a nice city.
It's a nice town. It's not too big, not too small. It's got a lot of stuff. But yeah, both Detroit stadiums. I'll tell you one one of the worst ones I've ever been to, not as bad as Oakland, but thank God for the fans, it's not standing anymore. But Riverfront Stadium. And not because of the cookie cutter thing. I know that St. Louis was, the previous stadium in St. Louis was designed by the same people in the same way. It's totally the same layout. But St. Louis did a lot at that stadium to improve the looks of it and improve the fan experience.
Yeah.
The problem at Cincinnati was you had a tight-fisted owner named Marge Schatz who never put any money into it. It's really bad when you're sitting there and multiple lights are burnt out on the scoreboard and aren't replaced. And they put some stats up there and you can't hardly read it because there's so many light bulbs burnt out. That's how tight she was. Yeah. She let that thing just go run that stadium into the ground.
Yeah.
And by the time it was done, it was pitiful. That's the only one. Oakland's the only one worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Old Tiger Stadium is really cool.
You've not been to Tampa Bay or Miami?
No. No, and I may never go to Tampa Bay now. God knows what's going to happen down there.
Well,
I did watch some of their game the other night at Steinbrenner Field.
I'll be watching starting tomorrow night. I'll be watching.
I don't know. I'd like to see, is there more attendance or is it just that it's smaller? That's what I'd like to see because last night I watched some of it. It was packed.
Well, actually, I can probably get that quicker on my phone.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if it's just because the stadium's smaller. They look like they got more fans, but I don't know.
Do that to me now. Where's their attendance at?
Oh, I don't know.
10,046 were there
so
last night.
it's just because it's smaller.
Same amount of people.
Looked good though on TV.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, but then again, how many people are you going to expect to come to the Angels race? I mean,
about 10,046.
Yeah. I mean, I know the Angels.
Well, actually, with Mike Trout being healthy,
yeah, that helps.
That would help. I'm curious to see what the weekend attendance is with the Braves in town.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So
that'll tell you something.
Yeah, two awful teams.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Braves being from the South. A lot of Braves fans down there.
Yeah, but they're an awful team right now.
Well, they are. They are.
Speaking of them being an awful team.
I'm looking back.
Right. Speaking of them being an awful team, let's close with this. Spencer Strider, his first rehab game, he struck out 10, I think, and threw 85 pitches. Last night, or this afternoon, I'm not sure which, he had 13 strikeouts and 90 pitches and was 0-2 to the batter he is facing, his 21st batter. So he threw 90 pitches to 21 batters. They took him out with like an 0-2 count because he reached his limit. Now here's my question. If he's striking out 13 and 10, why are they just not putting him on a pitch count in MLB level and getting an actual pitcher up there?
That's a good point.
Like, why do we have to do these rehab things? Like, just let him go.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he's going to be better than what they're throwing right now.
But why are they not hitting? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't. You know, and you talked last week about Michael Harris moving from the leadoff spot. And he had a tremendous weekend against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
He got every time he let off an inning, he's on base. He had good at bats. He struggled there one time in the second game against them when he had some people on base and he tried to hit for power. But when he was hitting contact, he was getting on base. Same thing this series with Philadelphia. He's getting on base. But whatever they're wanting him to do, and like you talked about, he is swinging at bad pitches. He has stopped swinging at those bad pitches, it looks like. So. Now
we need to know what the heck's the matter with Austin Riley.
Well, he took a double the other way, give him a lead. Well, that wasn't last night. That was the night before. He hit a home run last night. So, there's some bright spots coming.
Yeah, but
there's bright spots.
He left six men on. He left bases loaded twice.
Well, we don't want to look at that. We're trying to be positive.
Well, I'm going to figure out what he thought. I'm trying to.
We're trying to be positive.
And Olsen's not done anything.
Yeah, we need a win here in about 5 minutes. You got anything else for this evening?
No, I'm like I said, I'm all for Oster. I wish he'd start this up.
All right, well, I'll wrap up this episode of Bucky Sports Show. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, review, comment. If you got anything you want us to discuss, let us know. Email us, buckysportsshow@gmail.com. Again, that's buckysportsshow@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.